Hello, my name is Sarah Altman from whimsicalpoet.com. I'm going to read to you a poem of mine today called Inheritance to My Brothers. We inherit more than our parents' chromosomes. We are infused with their splintered parts. But unlike oversteeped tea leaves, prepared, forgotten, cast off parts of the shadow linger, eager to find expression in the unguarded. We live in microcosms of intricately woven, multi-generational quilts, laws that hold up against nature unbending. There are traces of him in all of us, close to the surface. They don't need much kindling to ignite. The loyal, the subversive, the controller, the inept, the looking over and away, stone blind, excusing. Coping mechanisms color us linear and lacking, provide armor to defend against love's treachery. With holes to scatter our sympathies, we hold on to love awash with prickers. So that poem came out of my own personal work, working through the damage that occurs over the generations. It's about the psychological phenomenon of parents who didn't get their needs met in childhood from their parents, and then in turn not being able to correctly parent their kids. And unfortunately, this is super common in our society. For instance, if a certain family rejects emotion, if anger is looked down upon or sadness is looked down upon, a child will learn to repress those emotions in order to fit into the family, because love is survival. At that age, you're dependent as a child. So when I say we inherit more than our parents' chromosomes, it's not my red hair, my nose, or my hazel eyes. It's not just that. We are infused with their splintered parts. Splintered is the broken, the repressed, the shortcomings, the neglected, the weak. But unlike oversteeped tea leaves, prepared, forgotten, cast off parts of the shadow linger, eager to find expression in the unguarded. The shadow is a reference to Jungian psychology, and it's the part of us that we cut ourselves off from in order to fit into society, into our families, into our culture. And in doing so, we lose touch with our authentic self, create a persona that really falls short of who we really are and keeps us from accessing all of our capabilities and all of our creativities. Children are the most susceptible to the repressions of their parents or to energy in general because they're so open. They haven't been hurt as much yet. Once the hurting begins, the defense mechanisms are put in place. And when that happens, that's when we develop the persona. And that's when the self is compromised. And then later I say coping mechanisms color us linear and lacking. So they compromise our wholeness, our authenticity. It would cause us to conform rather than to find out what is special within us. Jung and I also see the purpose of life as to individuate from society and your parents, and to find your authentic self and to find the parts that have been cast off. And over the course of your life, that can be found through life experiences, challenges, considering the inner self, dream work, psychotherapy. And when you have experiences, when you meet someone and they rub you the wrong way, and they just you find yourself being emotionally triggered around them, that's usually a sign that hey, this person reminds me, they must remind me of something from my childhood that makes me feel powerless, and that is an old wound. It's not really what's happening in the present. So that's a clue that you can look into yourself and do deeper work and try to recover those places where you compromised yourself and cut yourself off. As we get older and we get more guarded, cut that. So this is multi-generational. It goes from great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, to the next generation, until somebody stops and does the examination, the work to change that pattern, stop it in its track. Then the parenting styles will be semblances of each other. If you didn't get something from your parents, it's very hard to give it until you do the work within yourself and learn to recover the parts of yourself that were lost from those experiences or non-experiences. If you were never allowed to be angry, you have to learn how to allow yourself to be angry. If you were never allowed to be sad or powerless, you have to learn that it's okay to be that way. And with that recovering comes the individuation and comes the creativity, because you can't repress just the bad. When you repress just the bad, the good goes along with it. It just doesn't work. So once people start to recover, start to find themselves, they might often experience a surge of creativity or inspiration, self-knowledge, or knowing what they want in life. But it's a constant challenge, and that's why I said there are traces in him in all of us, close to the surface. They don't need much kindling to ignite. The kindling is that trigger. It's that person that reminds you. The ignition is the emotion. It's the feeling. It's that old feeling. It's the wound being activated. The loyal, the subversive, the controller, the inept, the looking over and away, stone blind, excusing. Those are the persona roles that we develop. This is a Jungian psychology thing as part of trying to get accepted by society, become needed in our family. We take on a role that simplifies who we are, but allows us the illusion of closeness. And that's what that is a reference to. But those coping mechanisms color us linear and lacking. Some alliteration there. The L's provide armor to defend against love's treachery. With holes to scatter our sympathies, we hold on to love awash with prickers. It's the imperfect nature of, I don't want to say love, because love itself is a perfect phenomenon, but families, it's not that they don't love each other, but it's those wounds that cause where they've been hurt, that causes hurt in the next generation and the next. But because love is such a fundamental need, we do so much to hold on to it. We compromise ourselves and we hold on to love awash with prickers. We feel that pain, especially as young children, being so open and having not developed the hardness and the armor that I refer to that we develop later on. So that is the meaning of the poem. It kind of came together nicely for me as I wrote it. It was something I didn't really have to struggle too much with. Some of the wording I really like. Splintered, linger, unguarded. Let's see. I like the last line. Love awash with prickers, that contrast. And I think it's really meaningful because it's something that we all know to be true from our experiences, even if we don't intellectually understand it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's my poem for the month of December. Thank you, Leslie from Art and Talk, for asking me. I really appreciate it. You can learn more about my journal and send in your work. We publish quarterly, whimsicalpoet.com. We also run a resource website for poets there, and you can find us on Facebook and on Instagram. So happy writing, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, bye.